Well, I signed up for knife rights, and everybody knows what a knife is because anytime you go into the kitchen or you go to a restaurant, you have an ordinary steak knife, right? So, in some states, they got a lot of crazy laws about knives. Like, if this knife can fit in your pocket a little easier, and you can open it up, it's not a switchblade, it's because it's assisted opener, right? But if you look at the size of this blade and that one, it's in your kitchen, they go, just because this opens up, it folds up, it's illegal in some states. And I was looking at states where, a lot of these laws just came into place pretty recently. The southern states, generally speaking, are a lot more lenient on knife laws. But you also have, like, Utah is really great on knife laws, very lenient. Arizona, Alaska, and also one northeastern state, New Hampshire, which is a live free or die state. That's very lenient on knife laws. But just not that many years ago, right now in the South, Tennessee is probably the best, or it's one of the best. It's very difficult to say which state is the best one for knife laws for leniency. Tennessee is right up there in the very top. Georgia would definitely be in the top 10. Florida's pretty good. It's good. It's definitely in the top 1/4, I guess, of states maybe. I don't know, maybe a little more than 1/4, maybe the top 15 or something. South Carolina is better than Florida on knife laws, I think, but Florida's not that bad. As far as the South goes, Tennessee and Georgia, but they made these laws just recently. Like Tennessee got rid of their switchblade law recently, where you can just carry anything. Georgia, they made the laws a lot more lenient over the last few years, but a lot of it's due to knife rights organization. So I joined them up. As a matter of fact, I got something from the NRA saying I'm not going to go be I'm a lifetime member of the GOA, Gun Owners of America, but the NRA, I'm kind of lukewarm on because they compromise our rights a lot, and Wayne LaPierre makes a lot of money. And I know this knife thing and gun thing is kind of related, but in a lot of ways, it's not exactly related. I really get pissed off about the knife laws, though, more than anything, because I will always be carrying a knife, and because it's not because of self-defense. I'm not even thinking about self-defense. Maybe that could be a reason, but it definitely is not the main reason I'm carrying a knife. It's because I do work on different things. Sometimes I'm cutting open strapping material or packing material, or I'm scraping off electrical contacts on something to make a good contact for ground on some wiring, or I'm stripping some wirings, or I'm cutting some hose, like on car work, or to put on a heater hose or a vacuum line hose, or do some repairs, or adding something, or using zip ties. The serrated edge works a lot better with the zip ties. That's why I actually put a serrated edge in here. I made one into this thing. But they got these laws on these books depending on the state. Like if you have like a serrated edge on a knife, to me is extremely useful because you can use it as a wire stripper, and sometimes it does cut plastic a lot better than a straight edge. So if you're talking about those plastic zip ties, but in some states they have these laws. They say a dangerous knife, which could be serrated edge, they consider it's more dangerous, which I don't know why it is. It's anything that's pointy is dangerous, depending on. But your kitchen knife is your kitchen steak knife when you go to a restaurant or what you have at home. That's dangerous. Anything could be dangerous, for crying out loud. I mean, a steel ballpoint pen or something like that, that could be dangerous. Anything, but it's all intention. I mean, your hand could be dangerous, right? But the deal is that what I'm seeing a trend here is kind of like people in the government just looking to justify their jobs, like politicians looking to justify their jobs, even the police looking to justify why what their job is, making the community safe, quote unquote, and stealing stuff from citizens in the process. This is what they do. With knife and stuff, knife laws and gun laws, or whatever the hell it is. And it all depends on the individual, but they got the power of God. I always say, when they say in God we trust on a government emblem, I think God is an acronym that stands for Government of Demons, because pretty much that's what you got. A bunch of freaking power-hungry, grubby money people that are out there just... I mean, it's not even like something when I'm talking about, oh, the Second Amendment says this. When I'm looking at the basic stuff, man. I'm actually thinking, well, heard me talking about, I'm thinking about getting the hell out of Florida. Like, it's not really bad yet, but California used to be great decades ago, probably 50 years ago. And look what it turned into now. I don't think I'd want to stay in Florida if it starts getting more like California. It's like there's some trends going on here, and I'm thinking, not even so much, Georgia, Tennessee, but not so much the state per se, but as a geographic location, which would be in the mountains. Where when you're talking mountain people, it could be like when you're talking a section of mountains in Georgia or Tennessee or in North Carolina or Virginia or even South Carolina or West Virginia or Kentucky, you're talking mountain range people. You got a lot more independence up there, and it's just the whole way of thinking. I'm not even thinking about the state per se, but I'm a freedom-loving person, man. So, like, as a matter of fact, I got a lot of these hats I keep in my cars too. Got them on C.H. Goodell's or Bud K. Rebel since 1861. It's kind of a joke, but that's how I just don't really think of like knife laws as having any good, because say for instance you were trying to make the community safe with restrictions on guns and knives. You know how easy it is to make a knife? You just get a piece of metal and you cut it out with a bandsaw, a jigsaw, cut-off wheel. You can temper it yourself. You can make the edge with the grinder. You can make the handle. Anybody can make a knife. So you can't restrict these damn things for nothing. Even, say for instance the world was safe without weapons. You can't restrict knives. There's no way in hell. You can't even restrict the guns. But with knives, you see, I'm not anti-gun in the least. But if you carry a gun, it's not even, it's either for hunting, self-defense, or, whatever, something like that. You're not really carrying it to work on your car, or maybe open up some packing material, but maybe you probably could open up some packing material with it. You could shoot the nylon band or something, that would do it. But, generally speaking, it's not like a tool like a knife. And that's why it aggravates the hell out of me that he even got these damn laws on these knives, because I look at it as just a way that it's just trying to make money for the freaking government. Another thing is, too, these politicians are so stupid. Well, let me say this. They're smart in some areas. They're very smart in, playing the public and all that kind of garbage. But most people that are politicians, they're not familiar with guns or knives. They've always been in politics. They're not even familiar with the free enterprise system, for crying out loud, being in business. That's my clock going off there. It's probably going to play a Christmas song. Somebody gave me that clock, so it plays music, whatever. But the deal is that, this can pretty much go along with the politicians, It's like they're in La La Land. They're not thinking about the reality of what people are using these things for. In the case of knives, you got carpenters, electricians, mechanics, I don't know, you could just be doing anything, for crying out loud. And it's got a million uses. And they're like, they got all these damn rules against them, like carrying them for this and that and all this kind of garbage. New Jersey's like horrible, because anything you do with a knife, or anything if you're not carrying a knife for a specific purpose at that particular time, they'll say it's illegal. And any infraction of the law in New Jersey is a felony. And I'm like, really? That place in New York City is probably the worst of all the cities going, because you could have a simple pocket knife. If somehow the cop sees it, they'll jump on you. Even if you're working with opening cardboard boxes or something like that all day, they don't care. And the other thing is too, I know they always have this mental capability thing. It's a new thing they're coming out with. Like, are you mentally capable of owning a gun or a knife and all this kind of garbage? Well, my IQ was tested at 130 to 135 a couple times years ago, right? I was in Who's Who for Scholastic Achievement. I got 2 majors. This is a long time ago, but in college. One in accounting, one in math, 30 credits each. And I had a full scholarship to college, which didn't quite pay for everything because the admin costs and the books were up there too, but still, it was still expensive. But that don't matter. That doesn't matter. Like, the average police officer has an IQ of 104. I've heard that there's people that apply to be a police officer with an IQ of over 120 and they're rejected for high IQ. My IQ is over 130. Yet I'm subject to the interpretation of these people. That's scary. Now, you also look at politicians who might have an IQ of 140 or 150. Some of them do. Some are very smart. But they have absolutely no familiarity with the uses of knives and guns other than, a real broad knowledge of maybe what they learned on the media or something or in a movie. And the movies were very much slanted against the switchblades because that's how they became illegal. The West Side Story movie and stuff with the switchblade and all this garbage. Somehow it was more lethal than a regular just a piece of steel. But most people in the government that are even making the laws, they have absolutely no familiarity with using knives or guns. And I'm like, why are they making the laws then? What, shouldn't they have to pass? If you're going to make a freaking rule, how about the politicians have to take a comprehensive test in all the uses of knives and guns and how they're used, and, by people that are, say by the Gunners of America, hey, here's a test, or knife rights organization, here's the test. You're going to have to pass this test before you even make any laws regarding our rights. Because, they're like trying to put it down on people now, they're trying to say veterans might have PSID or whatever was that? It was a post-traumatic stress disorder. Is that what it is? PTSD, whatever. Or they're saying that an older person who's 80 years old isn't smart enough to have a gun or a knife and stuff like that. And I'm like, yeah, whatever. Especially a knife. You use it in the kitchen every day. They're going after all this stuff, and it's like, it's some of it's evil on the part of the people in the government, and some of it's just stupidity, and some of it is just they're trying to make money. They're trying to find a way where you break a rule so they can get more money, and that unfortunately is a lot what law enforcement is. Actually, if you take most of the state law enforcements out there, you peel away the badge and you got federal law enforcement. Today, states' rights is more like, the state obeys every single law the federal government passes, and, they help enforce them. Then on top of it, they make more laws at the state level. So, I don't know. It's a really screwed up situation, to tell you the truth. But I have joined kniferights.org, and it's not really a glossy thing where, they give you all this stuff like the NRA does, and they give you discounts on rent-a-cars and hotels. And I'm not too keen on it. It's akin to the NRA, but, knives are a little different from guns in some ways. They're self-defense, but they're like a tool, And it shows you, it's one area that shows me that politicians have no clue. Because I could take a pair of pliers and it could be more lethal than a knife. I could take a wrench and it could be more lethal than a knife. Or I don't know, any tool out of my toolbox, ratchet, whatever the hell it is. And, they don't, if you're carrying a ratchet, they're not going to say, oh, unless they consider it a dangerous weapon or something. But you know what I mean. It's just a way that's trying to make money off of people. It's like if you're going to commit a crime, you're going to commit a crime. And if all knives are illegal and you can't even buy them except with special permits, how difficult is it to make, a knife with make a piece of steel and cut it out and put a sharp edge on it and make a handle for it? Pretty simple, huh? I mean, anybody, even if they were all illegal, this is an ordinary steak knife that's in my kitchen that you find in a restaurant. How are you gonna stop that? You can't stop that. But then, let's look at another law. The Ten Commandments. Thou shalt not kill, or thou shalt not murder, really, that's what it is. Thou shalt not commit adultery, that type of stuff. How many people, we already got the laws on the books to call the Ten Commandments, right? Except you're not allowed to tell those in school, right? Huh? What's the matter? What's going on here? It's like, who the hell gave these guys authority over us? These guys, like I said, even the politicians that might have a 140 or 150 IQ, which a lot of them don't, actually, but see, some of them do. That doesn't mean they got any kind of familiarity with, knives and what their function is, or guns. They don't know what the hell's going on. Why don't they be required to take a comprehensive test? I mean, in a lot of states, you got to take like a test to get a gun. I mean, I'm kind of like lumping together knives and guns here, but in a lot of states, you got to take a test to show your comprehensive abilities to, operate a gun safely, like in New Jersey and stuff. And it depends on the state. Like in Florida, if you get a concealed weapons permit, if you show, your DD 214, that's your schooling. I was in the Marine Corps for 13. I mean, crap, I know more guns than cops, for crying out loud. Thing is, I'm not a member of the government anymore. So I mean, that doesn't give me any special rights or privileges anymore. But it's a little scary, man. They're just looking for money. So even though Knife Rights isn't like a really glossy organization, I'd advise joining them, or at least looking at their website, kniferights.org, and signing up for their newsletter on the email, and they'll tell you what's going on. They have done a lot of good stuff. They really have. But nothing really displays government overreach than them regulating knives, especially when everybody's got a whole bunch of these in their kitchen, And then when you go to restaurants, I mean, yeah, situations. Actually, technically in New York City, they got a lot of people that work in restaurants that aren't, they're legally here, but they have like a green card, and they work in restaurants in New York City, and they work with knives all the time. They actually are violating the law in New York City, believe it or not, the way the law is written. Because they're working with knives and they're not a full citizen or something like that, or whatever. But these laws are dumb. They really are. Because most of the time, either the politicians are evil or stupid, or if they're not stupid, maybe they're smart, but they're very uneducated in the area they're making laws on. It's pretty bad, man. So I'd advise you, I'm going to point to a link. It's not, I'm nothing to do with these guys, kniferights.org. I sign up for them. What the hell? I think they're doing some good stuff. So, you might want to take a look. And you might want to know what your knife laws are here in your state, because, that's a big plus for Georgia and Tennessee. But most of the good laws came into being like in the last less than 5-10 years. So Tennessee is probably one of the best ones going now. Before, Georgia was better than Tennessee, but Tennessee got, beat out Georgia now for knife laws. And before that, Florida was better than both Georgia and Tennessee, but Georgia and Tennessee, they went in the right direction. Hopefully Florida will go follow. I don't think Florida's too bad. I really wish California would go back to the way it used to be. And as far as New Jersey, where I'm come from originally, even though I have Confederate heritage, New Jersey's so freaking far gone. I don't know how the hell you're going to fix that place. I don't know. No idea. Anyway, over and out. Go take a look at kniferights.org. I think they got some pretty good stuff. Anyway, over and out.